Hey gang, welcome to the amazing Spider-Mansion. Come on in. Get that back today. Home sweet home, folks. Welcome. So starting off in the Spider-Mansion, we have a life-size Spider-Man mannequin on the mantle of the fireplace. I always like that one because it looks like a shocked Spider-Man. I got that around 2003. I think I got that from Korea, which is sort of interesting. Now, down below, which is really cool, was the John Romita Spider-Man exhibit in 2017. They gave me the big placard for it with, of course, an Alex Ross bust of it. The John Romita show in 2017 in New York City at the Society of American Illustration was an awesome, awesome time where we displayed hundreds of my Spider-Man pages. Now, at the top, a lot of people think these are posters as you're going across from left to right. Those are actual all paintings on canvas. Back in around the year 2000, 2001, on eBay, I met a guy in Indonesia that was selling them, and I bought them all for $99 each. And they are huge. They're like 3 feet. They're like 36 by 24, and they're all paintings. They would paint any cover you wanted, and they are virtually 100% matched to the comic book. And I thought that was awesome. Now this piece is sort of cool. The 4-piece thing. I believe that's like a Mark Bagley a redo of one of his most famous covers, that big thing. Sort of cool. A guy calls me out of the blue and says I'm a New York artist, and somebody commissioned this. His name is Craig Nielsen. Somebody commissioned this and they didn't want it. Do you want to buy it off me? I said, yeah, as long as you write best wishes to Mike Burkey, Spider-Man's best friend, which if you can see, he did that at the bottom. Sort of cool. So that's huge. I never knew where to, I bought that before I bought this house. So okay, then we got another life-size Spider-Man mannequin. I keep his Spider-Man hat out, Spider-Man Christmas hat on him because I don't know, I don't feel like getting a ladder to take it off, so I just keep that up year-round. Sort of cool. And there's a lot of people know in the hobby that know me. I'm big, and I collect Christmas-themed art also. And believe it or not, these are all published paintings. And if you want to go zoom in a little bit on that one, if possible. Believe it or not, this Santa Claus there with the leaf next to him, that is actually John Romita's very first piece of published art. It's signed John Romita 49, and he said that was a Coca-Cola commission he did when he just got out of high school from the School of Industrial Arts in New York City. So that's the earliest piece of John Romita's artwork ever published. Very, very cool. And the rest are from greeting card paintings from in the 40s and 50s I bought when they were selling them on eBay years and years ago. Then we got another Spider-Man mannequin. This was from a Muckle Mannequins in Germany. This is one of my favorite stuff. I always wondered how I could get be able to put him up high, and I figured out putting him on a platform is perfect with him looking down at everybody. But great Spider-Man mannequin there. And staying with the Christmas-themed art, some Christmas greeting card art. And there's actually a published 1950s Frosty the Snowman painting. Very, very cool. That's one of those 4-color covers. And I framed it with the comic book. This is really a unique piece. John Romita, it's huge. This was the Christmas on the Green. This was a cover to the Comics Buyer's Guide, Christmas 1992, signed by John Romita. It's funny, it just had the goblin on it, and it's sort of funny. I sent it to John Romita, and I asked him I go, can you add Peter and Mary Jane to the scene? And he didn't know what I was asking, I guess, and just added their heads on it. And then I actually took it back to John, and the great guy he was. I go, can you at least add Spider-Man on the scene like he's chasing the Goblin? Then he added the pencil and ink Spider-Man from the back like he's chasing the Green Goblin. So I thought that was sort of cool. And keeping with the Christmas themed art, I have the Archie cover here, and I was going to show it, and there it is, the published comic book. I always loved that cover, and it's hand colored by Dan DiCarlo back then, and I didn't know what it was. I finally found the comic book online, so that's sort of cool there. And then going up, I'm a big fan of Giorgio Camolo, and I had him back in the 90s, early 2000s. This is right around the year 2000. I had him redo a new version of Spider-Man 1. Then, of course, Spider-Man Merry Christmas, Spider-Man. And if you look real close, you might be able to find me hidden on that Spider-Man piece there. Sort of cool. And then Christmas Story, if people know, it was filmed in Cleveland. A lot of it was filmed in Cleveland. The house is from Cleveland. I found the original artist that created the original painting, and I paid him to recreate perfectly the original painting, because he said he got rid of it back in '84. He don't even know what happened to it. Then, of course, a couple more Giorgio Camolo great paintings with Spider-Man and the villains helping him out at a children's hospital. And the last one is my homage or homage to the amazing John Romita, him and his drawing board with all his characters. And if you look real quick, you can see the Romita man there getting his ears twirled by Mary Jane Watson. Sort of cool there. And staying with the Christmas themed art, I'm a big fan of the Grinch Who Stole Christmas. So I own about 40 or 50 original Grinch cells from the 1966 cartoon. So I've been buying, I have like eight, 9 of them here. And then of course we got another big Spider-Man. It's actually a knockoff. This was made in Korea. This is a knockoff of the Michael Mannequins one on the other side. But I like when you know, you have tall enough ceilings, you can do stuff like that and keep them up high. But a bunch more Grinch cells signed by, almost all of them are signed by Chuck Jones, and a few of them are signed also by Dr. Seuss, Theodore Geisel. But very, very cool. So that is the complete circle around the first floor area. And then we have the classic on the left side here. This is the fiberglass awesome mannequin that Blockbuster Video had when either I think this is when Spider-Man 1 or 2, I'm not sure which one came up. Those were given this Blockbuster Videos. And then we have this awesome painting. A good friend of mine, and I apologize if he remembers, he's a friend of mine in Italy. I sent them the picture, if you could see the picture above on the upper right there. But a friend of mine in Italy, as a gift, did this entire painting of me and John Romita. I sent him the scan, and I sent him the scans of the art we were holding, and he did a phenomenal job painting this and sending to me as a gift. And a funny story, he didn't have the Spider-Man on it. I go, oh, you got to add Spider-Man to it. And then before he sent it, he added the Spider-Man with the wet background on it. So I thought that was pretty awesome. And then, of course, to the right here, again, we have an awesome Spider-Man, and that's from Michael Mannequins also. Life-size Spider-Man on his brick platform. Okay, and again, since we're in the bathroom now on the first floor, the guest bathroom. And I always like Christmas-themed art, and I think that's a funny, funny, funny gag. The main idea of Christmas is giving, folks. Folks just don't care enough about giving, and the older man says, that's a very grown-up attitude, and the little kid says, what are you going to give me? Which is pretty funny. And this one does not have a Christmas theme, but I just love the gag. Just funny. I worked out when I was younger. Well, it sure didn't work out. And of course at the top we have a Christmas Eve 1992 Spider-Man daily strip with Peter Parker and Mary Jane decorating the tree and Spider-Man on it, given by my buddy Marvin Hoover. So thanks, Marvin. That was a Christmas gift. And I'm a big animal lover, and that's sort of funny. I love the gag on that one. Always remember, son, that a dog is the most magnificent creature in the universe. Then why are we in kennels, Dad? Well, we're the most magnificent, not the most intelligent. Then just a couple of Christmas paintings again. You know, think about it. When you're in the bathroom and you're relaxing and trying to, push out whatever's inside of you, you get to sit there and, read a couple nice strips while you're working.
I think.
And think about it, folks. John Romita, Christmas Eve strip, 1992. When you're in this bathroom, you don't even need a newspaper when you're doing your work. Yeah, back in 1996, I was lucky enough by Joe Manarino to get invited to the Christie's comic book art auction. So back in 96, we got behind the scenes scene. They had a guy in a Spider-Man outfit there, and I got to meet Joe Sinnott, John Romita, and Stan Lee. On the far right, believe it or not, that is the inside back cover to Spidey Super Stories number 6. Believe it or not, John Romita signed it. He said he remembers it, and he drew the Spider-Man on that back cover. So, and the faces on all the characters. And then I love this. I got this all framed from John Romita. Bought it separately, but the original Spider-Man in the Santa outfit, I got all the 6 prelims and his notes on it, and the original published piece I got years later. And then just 2 cool posters, one of the 11x17 posters of 2 famous scenes from Spidey 250 with an original Spidey strip on there. I bought that from a guy like that, so I kept it like that. And I'm a big fan of the artist Giorgio Camolo from Italy. So I had him do his version slightly altered, which I love. The Amazing Spider-Man 122 cover recreation, pen, ink, and painted. And then the back side, the front side of Spider-Man in reverse. The publisher has the back of Spider-Man. I like the front of Spider-Man. Spider-Man 121, Who's Gonna Die. Of course, he has Gwen Stacy as the biggest. And then his version of the Spider-Man Annual 1 by Steve Ditko. And then, of course, the famous John Romita Amazing Spider-Man 100. And it's all art. Everything is drawn. Everything. Even the UPCs, the Comics Code Authority, everything is fantastically drawn. And of course, I had blown up the famous cover to Spider-Man 50. That's a big, huge 3 foot by 2 foot recreation of the original, because I actually sold the recreation. Somebody offered me an amount of money I couldn't pass up, so I sold it years ago. But I got that made, so I still get to see the cover every day, even though I don't own the original. Then at the bottom, I became really close friends with the great Shelley Moldoff. A lot of people don't know Shelley Moldoff actually inked backgrounds on Detective 27, 31, and everything for Bob Kane. So I had him recreate my favorite Spider-Man covers with DC villains. So instead of the Sinister Six, he's battling the Terrible 12 with 6 famous Golden Age DC villains that Shelley Moldoff drew. Then, of course, when Batman broke his back, I had him do a Spider-Man No More with Batman No More. These are all back in 1993 and 94. All original Shelley Moldoff oversized paintings. And this is actually my favorite one of all. I had him do the Amazing Spider-Man 1, but since Shelley Moldoff's a Golden Age artist, in place of the Fantastic Four, I put the Hawkman in place of the Human Torch, the Golden Age Flash, Golden Age Batman, Golden Age Green Lantern in place of the Fantastic Four. So that way it has that Shelley Moldoff feel of all the DC heroes. Then, of course, you can't do a Fantasy 15. We all know Spider-Man is the greatest superhero of all time that wears red and blue. Nobody else. So, of course, I had him do Fantasy 15 with Spider-Man holding, of course, the helpless Superman, whose art prices are about 1/10 of the value of Spider-Man pages, 1/10 to 1/50th of anything Spider-Man. Very, very cool. I was just going to, there's a few thousand toys in here, but a couple that I'll mention that are some of my favorites. I got to meet Terry Stewart, who was with the president of Marvel Comics. Back in, if you remember that James Cameron did True Lies in 94, he was supposed to do a Spider-Man movie. And I bought the only 2 known little trinkets. I had Terry Stewart write Make Mine Marvel in it, but I bought these off him. And these were to get into the world premiere because they were going to do a Spider-Man movie instead of True Lies in 94, but I'm actually glad they didn't because the special effects would have not been so good. So those are very cool. 2 of a kind, I'll say, because I have the only 2 he said that were ever created as promos that he got being the president of Marvel Comics back in 94. And a couple of my favorite things from the very first Spider-Man movie, I have the director's chairs for Tobey Maguire, signed, Kirsten Dunst, signed, and Sam Raimi, signed. And everybody says, oh, you didn't get the James Franco, huh? I go, well, when they graduate high school in Spider-Man 1, I bought the James Franco Harold Stephenson Osborn, and I took it to John Romita, and John Romita did that drawing for me. Congratulations, Harry, my boy. So I thought that was really cool, the diploma that he holds in Spider-Man 1. So then we got a whole bunch of all 60s and 70s Spider-Man toys coming around, and Bill could just pan around and everything, and I'll some of the really cool ones I'll mention and everything. The Spider-Man Bop bags are real rare. But a couple of people I showed out. One of these is from America. One of these Spider-Man hippity hops. One's from Britain, and I know a couple of my friends said they've never ever seen the Britain one. So that's really cool there. And the Spider-Man Stretch Armstrong toy is really, really a tough one to get. But obviously they lose all the goo, so it's unopened, but all the goo is gone from the Spider-Man Stretch Armstrong there. I have the Hulk one also. But a lot of people always ask me, and I'll let you pan around. That's okay. A lot of people ask me, what is the earliest or the most valuable Spider-Man collectible non-art ever? And I always say over here, it'll be right over here. And this is the earliest Spider-Man collectible ever that was not a comic book. In 1963, the same year as Spider-Man 1, Ben Cooper Costumes came out with a Spider-Man costume. People don't know there's actually a Spider-Man costume where he's black and yellow that came out in 55 and 57. And then and it was called Spider-Man years before Ditko and Stanley created them. And as soon as Spider-Man comic book came out, they already had the license for Spider-Man. So same year as Spider-Man 1, they had a costume. Supposedly this is one of only 4 or 5 known costumes to exist from the 1963, and the costume is unused from 1963. So that's really, really cool there. And the Spider-Man ride toys, the Spiderman Ashtray I got from John Romita himself. Spiderman Ashtray in 1972. How funny is that over there? That's really, really cool. But I mean, there's so many things to look at. Left and right. And this is really rare too. One of the rarest of the toys is, I wish I had in the box, the Marvel tin train from '68 is considered one of the most valuable Spider-Man collectibles. In the box, these go for like $20,000. Out of the box, a lot less, of course. But I had the tin train out of the box, which is very cool. And back in 2002, when the first Spider-Man movie came out, my mannequin, I had me and John Romita, we got invited to San Francisco. They had a big museum. Al Roker was showing my art in 2002 at the San Francisco Museum of Art. And they had me and John Romita there, and they had a big event and everything for Spider-Man 1 back in 2002. It coincided with the, what's the San Francisco Comic-Con called again?
WonderCon?
WonderCon. It coincided with WonderCon, so we were there, and they had a nice dinner, and I sent my mannequin there, and John Romita was pretending like he was punching Spider-Man in the belly back in 2002. Gosh, that's 20 years ago. What am I thinking? But very, very cool. And rare, again, 1966, the Spider-Man See-Ya Show viewer. A lot of the older toys that are just so cool. I'm trying to think of some of the other really, really rare ones. There's a whole bunch of goodies. But I try to stop in the 90s, so I have very few things post-2000, unless I thought they were really, really rare. But pretty much everything I have is 60s, 70s, and 80s, so... So very, very cool. And they also have, I get a kick out of it, the Spider-Man buttons. I know they were really, really sought after in the 60s. So I got the Spider-Man buttons from 66 for Daredevil, the Hulk, Submariner, Captain America, and Thor! Bill of Thor!
Look at that. That's the one that's worth the most money right there.
Yeah, actually he's worth about 1/10 of this one right here. Yeah. and you can tell that I don't think there are any of the Marvel artists that did those now. But Thor is one of the more rare buttons. And again, I got a kick out of this. I got this from John Romita. The cover to Spidey 70. They made it to an ashtray in 1972. How funny is that? Got this directly from John, and he signed the top of it for me. John Romita, what a great man. What a great man. He's a nicer person than he is an artist. And that's saying something, because he's a great artist. The great John Romita. But very, very cool. The Spider-Man Communications Code set. A lot of things. And I even got, let's see, I'm trying to think of some of the more rare ones. Oh, this is really great. These are heavy as heck. The Spider-Man placard. Check that out. I got John to sign it. And then over here, I had another one that didn't have the background. I got him to do it. Oh yeah, there's my Hulk Stretch Armstrong I was telling you about.
He's gone too.
He's actually there. You can actually see him. They just put plastic over him.
Wow.
And but I was able to take to John's house and got him to do a drawing on this one. I thought was sort of cool. This is from, oh, that's right. John was selling a lot of stuff from his house, and he even wrote, "This is from my personal collection, John Romita," and I got him to draw a Spider-Man on there. Because Virginia wanted to sell some stuff. I said, oh, no, I'll buy them all. So I bought thousands of books and a couple of neat collectibles directly from John. So I'm very thankful for that.